Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really incredible, highly efficient morning routine. Now, if you find yourself constantly caught between wanting a hearty, satisfying breakfast and, actually needing to rush out the door on time, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to deconstruct this brilliant two-course breakfast solution that gives you both a savory main dish and a sweet dessert. And the crazy part? It all starts from just a few simple slices of bread. We'll look at the exact ingredients, the clever prep methods, and the really cool zero-waste philosophy that makes this hack an absolute game changer. So we absolutely all know this feeling, right? The alarm goes off, you hit snooze maybe one too many times, and suddenly the idea of making a proper breakfast just goes completely out the window. You're left grabbing a stale granola bar or, let's be honest, nothing at all. Well, this explainer is all about challenging that exact narrative. The source material hooks us immediately with this super relatable scenario, having absolutely zero time in the morning. But instead of telling you to settle for less, it promises a gourmet, time-saving hack. It's all about working smarter, not harder in the kitchen. We're talking about yielding a meal that looks and tastes like it took an hour to prepare, but actually relies on just 5 minutes of active, hands-on prep. All right, let's get right into it with Section 1, Building the Savory Base. Flavor-packed ingredients for a quick start. Just look at the sheer variety of textures and flavors being utilized here to build a deeply satisfying profile, all without requiring you to stand over a hot stove for hours. We kick things off with 2 eggs as our binder, giving us that essential morning protein hit. Then we bring in a colorful pepper mixture, 3 sausages, a spring onion, and, get this, 1 gherkin. That gherkin is brilliant because it adds this perfect hit of acidity and crunch. Toss in 6 sweet cherry tomatoes, and finally, the ultimate comfort factor, 100 grams of mozzarella for that perfect gooey stretch, and 50 grams of cheddar for a nice, sharp bite. It is a vibrant, robust lineup that promises a seriously rich and delicious filling.
Okay, here is where the really clever construction comes in. First, you create this unbelievable flavor base by mixing a tablespoon of mayo, a tablespoon of butter, a tablespoon of honey, and a clove of minced garlic. You spread this amazing sweet and savory compound across 4 slices of toast. And then comes the genius part. You literally just cut a square out of the very middle of the bread. Instead of tossing that bread, this zero-waste technique completely transforms an ordinary slice of toast into a structured, edible vessel. You just place those hollowed-out frames into a baking dish and fill that empty square right up with your savory mixture of veggies, sausage, eggs, and cheese. Moving right along to Section 2, the golden bake. This is all about letting the oven do the hard work for us. Now, the absolute key detail to note here is making sure your oven is set to exactly 356 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 180 degrees Celsius for our metric friends. Once your toast vessels are filled to the brim with that savory, cheesy mix, you just slide them in to bake for a precise 20 to 25 minutes. This specific temperature is the sweet spot. It's hot enough to cook the egg all the way through and create that beautiful, bubbling, golden brown melt on the cheeses, but it's gentle enough that your honey garlic butter spread on the edges doesn't burn. And exactly why this hack is so incredibly powerful. Because the oven is doing all the heavy lifting, you aren't chained to the stove, flipping pancakes or scrambling eggs. You actually get to step back. You can jump in the shower, get dressed, pack your bag, or just sit there with a cup of coffee and genuinely enjoy a stress-free morning. The meal is literally cooking itself. Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, a zero-waste sweet treat. We are transforming leftovers into dessert. This is where the duality of this recipe really shines. On one hand, we've got our hearty, savory oven bake currently doing its thing in the oven. But on the flip side, we have a completely contrasting culinary experience, a sweet, pan-fried dessert. Remember those little squares of bread we cut out of the middle of the toast earlier? Yeah, we definitely aren't throwing those away. Instead, this hack demonstrates how one set of basic bread ingredients splits perfectly down the middle to give you a full 2-course breakfast experience. So while your savory portion is baking, you take those discarded bread squares and basically give them a whole new life. The steps couldn't be simpler. You just whisk together 100 milliliters of milk, a tablespoon of sugar, and 1 egg to create a quick little custard. You soak those leftover bread squares thoroughly in that mixture. Then melt 20 grams of butter in a pan over medium-low heat and fry the soaked squares for just 3 to 5 minutes per side. In the blink of an eye, you've whipped up a rich, decadent, French toast-style dessert with absolutely zero extra food waste. And the absolute best part of this sweet bonus dish? The customization. The source material suggests finishing these golden fried squares off with an array of amazing toppings. You can serve them with classic fruit jam, drizzle them heavily with maple syrup or honey, or go completely all out with a rich pour of sweetened condensed milk. Customizing this sweet extra is honestly half the fun, giving you all these delicious finishing options to top off the golden fried bread. It perfectly balances out the savory garlic and cheese main course that's about to pop out of the oven.
Finally, let's wrap things up with Section 4, plating and community connection, bringing the meal and people together. So as you pull that bubbling, perfectly browned savory bake out of the oven and plate it right alongside your sweet, syrupy French toast squares, there's this really lovely element of community that, like, which country are you from? Food is such a universal language, right? And echoing that inviting tone, it is genuinely fascinating to think about how global breakfast traditions influence the way we approach these quick morning hacks. Whether you're in Europe, the Americas, or Asia, the shared desire for a quick, delicious, and efficient start to the day is just a universal human experience. The source also asks, do you have a favorite sandwich recipe? And honestly, it is the perfect question to leave you with today. Just think about what we unpacked here. Through some clever kitchen architecture and a little bit of honey garlic butter, a standard, honestly kind of boring slice of bread was just transformed into a stunning 2-course morning feast. A savory egg bake and a sweet dessert, all with zero waste and only 5 minutes of active work. So armed with this brilliant dual meal hack, my question to you is this: what will you create with the center of your morning toast tomorrow?